Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode, a special episode of the Late Night Vision Show. We have I want to say a reoccurring guest, but not reoccurring enough. This is a special, important episode. Bookmark it, save it, send it to your friends. There's going to be a lot of answered questions in this, hopefully from us, because Jason and I have got a lot of questions, but I'm going to let Jason, your co-counselor of the episode here, Mr. Co-host extraordinaire of the Late Night Vision Show, the owner of Outdoor Legacy, Jason Robertson. Who do we got here? Seems like a familiar face, seen him before, but
that's right.
Seen enough.
Yes, so we're excited to have Mr. Jim Willi of the Willi Law Firm in Austin, Texas, back with us. Jim was one of our very first guests on the Late Night Vision Show. I think that was episode 20 back in September of 2018, if I remember correctly. That is a long time ago, but Jim is a great guy. Jim is I hate to say what he's a specialist in because I'll probably screw that up, right. But I know it's all things that have to do with the NFA, the National Firearms Act, and anything with gun trust and short barrel rifles and suppressors. And this guy knows all about it. I'm actually going to let Jim tell us a little bit more about what he does. Jim actually did the gun trust for both Hans and myself. He does a fabulous gun trust. We'll probably talk about that a little bit more in the show. Jim's going to be your guy for that. But Jim Willi, welcome to the show again.
All right, thanks for having me back. I'm kind of like Steve Martin on Saturday Night Live. I'm number two. You know?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Jim, tell us a little bit about your law firm and kind of what y'all specialize in.
Well, our law firm is basically my wife and I, Tracy Willi. We have an estate planning practice, and we also do probate. So, and we also do gun trusts. So, unlike a lot of other people out there, most people out there, we kind of think of a gun trust as just an extension of an estate plan. And so it's a little tiny estate plan for your firearms. And we've always approached the gun trust from that point of view. What do we have while you're alive? What do we have while you're dead? When you're dead. And so that's the whole, way we look at it. We're not criminal defense attorneys that decided to sell some gun trusts, make some extra money. Right. That's how we do it. So we've been doing gun trusts since 2011, and we've done an incredible number of trusts, thousands of these, one client at a time.
So I want to say something here real quick before we get into the meat of the show. But that is, Jim made a good point right there. They're not just your average local attorney down the road that will do a gun trust for you. And that's nothing against the local attorneys. I mean, I'm glad they're all there. We're glad to have them and they can do gun trust. But Jim and Tracy specialize in this. And I'm telling you, their gun trust is unbelievable. And you go, well, I don't even know what that means. It's a paper document. They have thought of everything for, adding people to your trust, removing people from your trust, adding new NFA items to your trust. They have got this trust so simple. It is so easy. I've got a lot of buddies that have got trust, and we've gotten into these deals of, hey, let me borrow your suppressor for the weekend, add me to your trust. And it's like, I don't know, and you got to call the attorney and you got to go to it's a nightmare. And Jim's trust is unbelievably simple for doing these things that you're not even thinking about it right now. They've already thought about it. Your buddy may want to borrow that suppressor for the weekend or whatever. They've got ways to do all this. So anyway, we'll talk maybe some more, but if you need a gun trust, these are the people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't get into this gun trust area because I was trying to sell gun trusts. Far from it. I was buying my own stuff, buying my own silencers and short barrel rifles and things like that. And I got into this area because it was something I wanted to do for myself. And I originally designed my gun trust for me personally because I didn't like what I was seeing out there. And And so I wrote my own trust, and then a little bit at a time, some of the, other people would ask me, hey, can you do one for me too, or a friend or a brother, and then eventually some of the gun stores picked up on it and said, hey, we've seen your trust. Would you mind doing a gun trust for a customer of ours? And like, yeah, just have them call me. So it turned into this snowball of once every 2 months to once every month to once every couple weeks, once a week, once every couple week, a couple a week. Then it became once a day, and then it became multiple a day, and more dealers are passing out my cards all over the state. When somebody wants to buy a suppressor, they typically, a lot of them hand out my cards, tell them to call me. And then what I do is I talk them through the whole process. I usually spend about 20 minutes or so with them and trying to figure out the best way to set up for them and explain everything they could possibly want to know and anything else they want to know. And then what I do then is I get it all written, taken over the phone. I prepare all their documents. I get it out to them same day.
Yep.
That way, all they have to do is go get 2 documents signed and notarized. They're ready to go to the dealer.
Yep.
So they're not waiting on me.
All right. Well, you definitely make it easy. And like I said, Jason and I've done our trust with you.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into it because there's a lot to talk about. Jason's getting intimidated because you've got a lot of papers on your wall, which means you're really smart. He's not the smartest guy on the show right now anymore.
My wall's empty.
He's got no papers. I've got no papers. So we got to jump into this because he's getting a little intimidated. So the reason for this call, and the reason why we're all here, the industry, when I say the industry, and going back to what you were talking about, Jim's got a sweet collection of rifles and pistols, and I see it on social media all the time. And this is a man that, like you said, he's just not writing paperwork. He is in this industry and does this. I mean, more than anybody. But so let's talk about the ATF ruling, short barrel rifles. Let's just jump into it. There's people at home that may have what is now considered a short barrel rifle that may not even know it. So first of all, let's start with the definition that the ATF says is a short barrel rifle and the recent ruling that taken place. And Jim, for his clients, super proactive. I mean, he was emailing his clients right away with all these things that you need to do. I mean, that's what was great, but all so confusing. So what's a short barrel rifle? What's this ruling that just came out?
Well, typically a short barrel rifle is a rifle with a barrel length of less than 16 inches, or an overall length of less than 26 inches. So, but the main easiest way to just remember is anything with a barrel less than 16 inches, that's typically a short barrel rifle. Right. Now, short barrel rifles typically have stocks and they're intended to be shouldered. And then you can have optics and all that stuff where it's best used when shouldered. And they're also easily concealable. Well, sometime in 2012, somebody sent a prototype of a piece of wood that was somehow attached to a gun with some big Velcro straps poking out the sides. And they asked them, hey, if we install this on our guns so that wounded veterans can use their firearms or their pistols, does that convert it to a short barrel rifle? And they said, of course not. No way. That that's for wounded warriors and handicapped people, so to be able to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So that was about 2012. Well, soon after that, I may be wrong on this, but my recollection is that all of a sudden you saw these things, these Sig Sauer AR-15 pistols that had SIG braces. That was the term that they came out where these are pretty damn sophisticated looking things that, they had a nice little opening where you could theoretically stick your hand in and theoretically strap it down on there. And they started selling those as pistols around 2012, 2013. This is what I recall. I may be wrong about the dates. And then those really took off because all of a sudden people could buy essentially, what looks to me and you as a short barrel rifle, and they called it a pistol, which everybody was like, well, that's a gigantic loophole. And then over the years, they started selling more and more, and some of the other manufacturers got in there, and that little hole that is intended to put your whole arm through got smaller and smaller, and as long as you have at least on the outside, you could stick that on your arm, and somehow, and you were good to go. And that was the big ATF for many years. Is that's not a stock pistol, and they've never liked this, because more and more people are basically buying these, and there are estimates, like the ATF estimates that there's 3 to 7 million pistol brace firearms out there in the country. A congressional research office said, no, that's completely wrong. It's 10 to 40 million. That's a gigantic difference.
Wow. Yeah.
So nobody really knows how many there are out there, but we know there's millions.
Right.
Okay. So there's all these pistol brace firearms floating around the U.S. And people were buying them as pistols, and pay their money, walk out the door just like any other pistol. Now, all of a sudden, they've been talking about it for a while, but all of a sudden on Friday the 13th, right before SHOT Show of this year, they issued this ruling and surprised everybody, because all of a sudden, that's not a pistol brace, that's a stock. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Yeah. So suddenly they were deeming all these pistol brace firearms to be short barrel rifles. And, it's illegal to possess a short barrel rifle that's not registered.
Right.
Okay. So, and then they said, but it's this isn't binding until we finally publish the rule. And we never really could. We thought it was immediate. It was going to be, a couple days later, and then it got extended and got extended. But they finally published the rule on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. And so now it's a done deal, at least for their purposes. The regulation is those are not short barrel rifle, pistol brace firearms. Those are not pistols now. They're suddenly short barrel rifles. And the kicker is that it's not our fault. It's your fault for buying them. You're the one committing the felony. We've got no blame here. So, so then what they've done is they basically said, okay, all you felons out there, anywhere from 3 to 40 million people, you have a limited amount of time to register these guns as short barrel rifles. And we're going to give you 120 days from January 31st to 120, I believe, to register these firearms. And because we're such nice people, we're going to let you register for free as long as you meet our deadline. And so basically everybody in the U.S. that has these guns, they have a limited window here that they need to file ATF Form 1 applications on the ATF's website, which is eForms.atf.gov. They have to register, get a user ID and password and PIN, and then they have to file Form 1 applications to register these guns, and they get a free tax stamp instead of the normal $200 tax stamp. Okay. So that's basically what's going on. Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to, ask a couple of questions here. So let's say that a guy right now, he's listening to this and he goes, all right, so I've got a gun safe full of these, or I got one, or I got 10 of them, but they're sitting there today. And what if he says, okay, I am not registering these things. I'm not getting a tax stamp. I'm not getting with the government. I just want to be done with this. What are his options at this point right now to do with this new illegal firearm? What can he do besides register it?
Right. The easiest thing to do is take the pistol braces off it. Now all of a sudden it's just a pistol. And then this little brace over here, it's not illegal to possess it, but you just can't have them in the same general area. Because if you can put it right back on, then that's still, you're in constructive possession of a short barrel rifle. So you're supposed to remove the braces. They're telling you you're supposed to destroy them so they can never ever be put back on there again.
Right.
Or throw them in the throw them in the trash. If you take those and move them to some other geographic location, you're not in constructive possession.
Right.
And then there's a wild outside chance that this regulation could be overturned. That's going to take a long time, maybe years, kind of like the bump stock ban. So if you're going to take them off and keep them, you might want to store them, because if this thing ever got overturned, then you could go grab them and put them right back on.
But also now, if let's say that I take it off and I go stick it, somewhere else, and I'm fully legal, but then I decide to go ahead and I'm going to do my SBR on this. I'm going to get my tax stamp. Once that is a true short barrel rifle, nothing would prevent me from putting that brace back on and using it as a stock if I wanted to at that point, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You can put the pistol brace back on. You can put a regular stock on there. You can put a vertical foregrip, optics, the whole deal, once it's registered.
Correct. And so let's say that right now, let's take a perfect example. Hans and I have got these. Maybe we shouldn't say that. Theoretically, if Hans and I had these, so no, we've moved these into our trust, and we're going to start this SBR process. What do we do with these in the meantime? We are trying to become completely legal and follow the rules.
Yeah. So let me back it up just a little bit, because all those emails I was sending out to my current clients, like you guys, after they published the rule, what I was trying to tell everybody to do is, okay, these things are going to magically convert from pistols to short barrel rifles on the publication date, which we eventually got it nailed down to be the 31st. And so what we were trying to do is get everybody to assign their pistols to the trust as fast as they possibly could before the publication date, which we didn't know what it was. So we're just saying it's drop everything, do it now. Okay. And why we wanted everybody do that is because if you had put it into the trust before the magic date, then you can register as an SBR into the trust itself for free. And so we were trying to get as many people in the lifeboat as we could to try to save as many people that we could. We knew we couldn't save everybody. And when we're trying to pull people out of the water, they're asking, well, do y'all have snacks, and y'all playing a movie while we're just cannot seem to be able to fill out this assignment form without having a personal conversation with you, and we were getting just overwhelmed. We just could not respond. It's like, you're staying in the water, let's get this guy out of the water. We load up the boat as many people as we could, and then that boat's gone. Okay, so if you're one of those people that paid attention, then you can register for free into the trust. And that's a good deal, and we've done a bunch of those for our clients, helping them file Form 1s. That's one of those things where we can't be doing the typing. So we are standing right behind you while you're on my computer doing the typing. And so that you can do it, and we can be funneling you the documents and everything that you're uploading, that we've created, but you're doing the typing. And we've been pretty successful with that. We've worked 2 weekends in a row, Saturdays and Sundays all day, helping our clients get lined up and get those things filed. And people have been pretty, but anyway, once they get filed, then we can print out the submitted application, and it's basically the Form 1 application. It's got a big watermark over it, says submitted. And we print them out and we give them to the clients. Okay, that's your get out of jail free card. Because as long as you've submitted it, you've complied. And it doesn't matter that it hadn't been, approved by, by the 120-day mark. It's just the fact that they've got that thing submitted, they have complied. And that's what the ATF is saying, is that we're not going to, as soon as the 120-day window closes, we're not going to start just, kicking down doors and all that. But that's your get out of jail free card. So I've tried to save as many of my current clients as possible by getting them to get it in the trust so they can get it registered and it's already in the trust. Okay. So then we got our next group of people that didn't want to get in that lifeboat. Okay. Or they're the new people that are just calling us up after the fact. And we were doing a ton of those. All right. So now you've got two options. If you haven't registered to or assigned the non-NFA firearm to the trust in time. So, you cannot transfer an NFA item without going through the ATF's Form 4 application process, which is paying the $200, getting the background check run on you, submit it, send it back. So the day it became an SBR, you could no longer assign it to your trust using our assignment forms because it's an NFA item now. Okay. Y'all follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. So now everybody that's left is falling into the groups where they have pistol brace firearms. So they've got two options at that point. And this is what we've been explaining to everybody. Okay. So now you didn't get on that lifeboat. Here's the next lifeboat. You can register the pistol brace firearm as an individual, not a trust, and you can get that for free. Okay, so you can submit that, get your submitted Form 1 proof, put that in with your guns, and then you've complied with the law. Okay, you beat the deadline. And we have a lot of people doing that. The bad thing, the downside of registering as an individual is that you're the only one in the world who can ever be in possession of it till the day you die. Okay, not another person. If you're in a rest home, not dead, nobody can hold on to it while you're incompetent. It's a hot potato here. The other that's why you're alive. And then after you die, the big problem is that it's now a property of the estate, and the estate is the only the executor of the will is the only person that can be in possession of that gun until it gets properly transferred out of the estate as part of the probate court proceeding. Okay. Probate's expensive because you have to hire a probate attorney. You can't do it yourself. And my wife routinely charges $4,000 to $5,000 to just start a probate case for an uncontested will. Okay. So let's say that was the only thing in your estate, right? You have to probate the will. So now we got an executor, and we have to wait a couple months for the court to appoint them as an executor, right? So there's that little gap of who's really legally in possession. We just assume it's the executor, but not really sure. But once the judge 2 months from now signs the order appointing them as an executor, now they're legally in possession. Okay. Then they've got to try to figure out how to get them out of the estate. And they've got to figure out how to do the ATF applications properly to get them transferred out of the estate and to the beneficiary, whoever that may be. Okay. Well, and everybody will tell you, you look on the internet, everybody's like, oh, that's easy. It's free to do a free transfer. But the problem is you've paid $4,000 to $5,000 just to get your foot in the door to get that free transfer. And then you've got to pay somebody like me to shepherd all the paperwork and gather it all and get it filed for you. And I'm expensive. I mean, I can't afford to work for free. So by the time we get to that point, if we've got a Yankee Hill suppressor that's $500 and which are, very popular. And we have the lady, the widow who husband died of COVID. We explained to her that she's going to have to probate the will, and then she's going to have to do all this paperwork. So she's saying, well, gee, you're telling me I've got to spend like $4,000 to $5,000 to move a $500 suppressor out of the estate? is there a cheaper option than that? Yeah, you can call the ATF local field office, tell them we've got this silencer that nobody wants, please come pick it up.
Hmm.
So the vast majority of all these individually owned firearms or NFA items, unless they're machine guns, it's not worth the money to chase it.
Right.
See that?
Wow.
So that's the little hidden secret that you don't see out on the internet, is somebody like me actually who knows how this process really does work. I'm not telling you you get a free transfer.
Right.
It's an expensive transfer.
Right.
You're just not having to pay the ATF the $200,
Hmm.
but you're having to pay everybody else, you know.
Exactly.
So I'm not a big fan of that. So why the gun trust? Because I bought my first 2 silencers in my own name because I didn't know what I was doing, and there wasn't anybody helping me, and when I got them home, well, that's when it dawned on me that I'm the only one in the world who's ever legally in possession until the day I die. And so my wife, when I explained to her that I've got these 2 silencers here, and I got to keep them locked up or have no access whatsoever for the rest of my life, otherwise you're committing a felony. She's the one that actually put me on the project to see if there's any other way to buy them that allow more than one person be in possession. That's the gun trust. Because if you buy it using a trust, then you have the ability after the fact to add other people as authorized users called trustees whenever you feel like it. And you can remove them too. So that opened up that ability to add or remove authorized users for my NFA items once I got them in the trust. And then the other cool thing about the trust is that your estate plan is already built in. So basically when you die, the beneficiaries are already identified. They don't have to probate the will. They just basically have immediate authority. They don't need authority from a court to do whatever transfers they need to do. So it's slick while you're alive, and it's slick when you're dead. And to me, it's just a dumb idea to have it as an individual. Okay, so here we go. So you can get the free transfer to the individual, free registration to the individual, right? If you missed that first lifeboat. The problem is now you've got it in your own name. And then if you want to transfer it from you to your trust, well, you have to do that whole process all over again. You've got to fill out an ATF Form 4 application, ask for permission to move it from me to my trust, pay a $200 transfer tax, submit fingerprints and photographs in that application. Application gets mailed in. And then after, the ATF finally runs the FBI background check and approves it, which a paper Form 4 application may be right now 12 to 15 months. Whenever they get around to approving it, then they will finally approve it and mail you the new tax stamp showing the trust is now the owner of that short barrel rifle.
Right.
Okay, so that's the long way around to getting into the trust, is registering it for free as an individual and then turning around and Form 4ing it again to yourself for $200. And 2 years have gone by before you get a tax stamp showing it to be in the trust. Okay. So
sorry, Jim. I get
Yeah.
one quick question. I think a lot of people are going to be wondering, they've submitted their paperwork. They're in possession now of what's considered by the ATF a short barrel rifle.
Yeah.
While the paperwork is submitted and pending approval, does that short barrel rifle now need to be disassembled during the pending process?
No, if you've submitted the Form 1 application, then you've complied, and as long as you've got that tax stamp showing it says submitted on there,
Okay.
you are in compliance even after that 120-day period, while you're sitting there waiting for the ATF to approve it and email you a tax stamp.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So we were trying to get as many people of our clients to get these assigned ASAP so that we could get those directly into the trust for free. So then the next one then is you can get it for free as an individual, and then sometime during your lifetime you can do a Form 4 application to transfer it to the trust, and then you had to pay $200 to move it from you to your trust. And that's very time consuming. So that's lifeboat number 2. Okay. And we have a lot of people that are doing that. And then lifeboat number 3 is you could simply take the brace off. Now it's just a pistol. And then you could file a normal everyday ATF Form 1 application like everybody's always done since 1934. Before, 3 weeks ago, this was the only way to do it. You can just convert it back to a pistol, file a normal Form 1 application, pay the $200, get it straight in the trust. And then when the tax stamp comes in, now that's your permission slip to build it. So now you can put that stock back on or pistol brace or whatever you want to do, because you're fully legal because you've got a tax stamp showing you could do it. Okay. Now there's one other complication. So historically, you have all manufacturers of firearms are required to engrave the name of the manufacturer and the city and state on the gun. And so that's why any modern firearm that has been around since, I don't know, World War II has the manufacturer engraved on it, and it has the city and state, and it's abbreviated TX for Texas or what, All right. So now, when you have a pistol, which is not NFA, and you register it and say, I want to build this into a short barrel rifle, then ATF considers you to be a manufacturer of an NFA item. And so you're required to engrave the name of the manufacturer, which is name of the trust, and the city and state on the gun. So like Willi NFA Trust, Austin, TX, that's assuming I was registering it to the trust. If it's registering it to you personally, then you'd normally have to engrave your full legal name, no abbreviations, first, middle, last, and then city, TX. And so when you do a paid Form 1 application, that's that additional little requirement you have to do to get to make that fully legal. Now, they're saying under the free one that we're going to waive the engraving requirement. Okay, so if you have a AR pistol with a pistol brace on there, and if you register it to yourself as an individual, then you don't have an engraving requirement. They're going to allow you to adopt whatever was already engraved on the gun. But so that's kind of got some, appeal too, because a lot of people with very expensive guns that they feel like that would reduce the value, they're opting for that route, and then they're coming back later and filing the Form 4 application there. I have other clients that they really care about the engraving requirement. They just want to get this thing registered, get it into the trust. They'll do the engraving, and then they don't have to remember to do anything else. And it's right into the trust. Then they can start appointing trustees who can then also use and possess. So I'm getting about a 50-50 turnout here, where people are just saying, screw it, let's just pay the $200, get it over with, like I would have done a few weeks ago, and I'll worry about the engraving. Or they're saying, no, I'm going to register for free, because free is free. But then they're going to turn around and pay $200 eventually to get it from them to their trust.
Got it. Okay, so I've got a couple questions. I know we're kind of getting short on time here, but I got a couple questions. One is going to be, well, I don't know. There's a lot. I got a lot. It's hard to number this down. But so if a man is sitting there right now, basically he needs to, hopefully he's already got it in his trust. But what happens if he has a trust and he didn't put it in before the deadline? Right. What does he need to do at this point?
Okay, so the first lifeboat was you got it in the trust ahead of time. Now we've got these two other lifeboats over here coming up, right?
Okay, so he has to get in one of those.
Yeah, you're in shark-infested waters here, because you've got a hot felony. You got a pistol-raised firearm. So you could either, you have three lifeboats. Take the thing off, throw it away. That was one lifeboat. Second lifeboat, registered for free to you as an individual. Okay. Third lifeboat was file it straight in the trust, pay your $200 Form 1 application. That's the three options. So
all right. So let's say that a guy is sitting here right now. He's listened to all this and he goes, All right, Jim, this is very helpful. I understand that I don't understand what's going on. This is complicated. This involves the federal government and involves attorneys. And so if this guy is like, kind of like, Hans and I, we're busy guys. We want to follow the law. We've so far got in lifeboat number 1, thankfully, because of you. We wouldn't have otherwise, but we're in lifeboat 1, but we don't know exactly where to go from here. I don't want to go navigate the NFA website. Is there someone, and can they go to you? Can they go to their class 3 dealer? Who can help them get this process done? They got to pay somebody. Who's it going to be?
Well, that's so the gun stores have not been doing Form 1s for a couple different reasons, because they make money when they sell a silencer, right? But when you're building your own stuff, they're not making any money at all. You're just coming in the shop and asking for you want your free fingerprints and photographs, since they have the fingerprinting machine, and they usually don't do it for free. And then they don't file Form 1s because they're not making any money off that generally. You might be able to get somebody who knows how to do it to help you file them. And then there's that other big restriction that you can't just sit there like you tell me what I'll file it for you, and while you're sitting right here, that person actually has to be the one on the keyboard. So because of that, it's such a pain. You can't just help people do it. They have to actually be the typing, that most of the gun stores that we won't have anything to do with it. Okay. So I believe that the gun stores are going to get back into this, because there's so many people that are, need help. So but I only know of a small handful of people that are doing it. I know one up in DFW area. I know one in Houston, and then we've been doing them, and then we've been putting out feelers for people wanting to know if they actually do it. A friend of mine in Lubbock, it's like, screw that, it's not worth my time, because I can sell silencers all day long. I don't have any more bandwidth for helping people do that. So the problem is, it's just a bandwidth issue. There's so many people trying to get it done, and there's not a lot of people that are being helpful.
What about oh, sorry to cut you off. The eForms ATF website, do you think that that's easy enough to navigate that people can do it themselves? I mean, that's what they're trying to.
Right. Well, they're telling you that we believe it is, but like, let's say the easiest example is registering to you as an individual. Okay, you have to go create a user ID and password and PIN, and then you've got to go onto the website, and then you've got to register. You've got to upload a copy of the trust. No, I'm sorry, not the trust. You got to upload a digital passport photo, like a JPEG file. And you have to send in fingerprints and photographs. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can either get electronic fingerprints in a specific format and upload it, or you can mail in the fingerprint cards. But then you have to go in there and type all your information in, who I am and all that stuff. And there's a lot of little places there. Answer all their questions, and then you can submit it. And you have to tell them, here's what I've got, here's what I'm building. So you've got to have the make, model, serial number that's already engraved on the gun, and then you've got to tell them what the barrel length is, and that's not including flash, any kind of removable device. So we're talking about bare threads on the muzzle, barrel length, and then you've got to do overall length, which is bare threads all the way back to the end of the now stock, and it has to be the fully extended version. So it's the maximum or overall length. Those are the variables you need to know to be able to register this thing. So assuming somebody's fairly competent using a computer, the hard part here is I got to go get fingerprints and photographs done. Okay, so you can go to Walgreens or CVS Pharmacy Photo Counter and get passport photos all day long. So then the hurdle is, where do I get fingerprints done? So you can get them done A lot of gun stores have that capability. A lot of them don't have the ability to print them for you right there. But like we have a machine where we can fingerprint people and give them the digital file or the fingerprint cards, whatever you want. But a lot of dealers can do that. And then if you can't do that, like you live in, small town East Texas, you might be able to get them from the police station, the sheriff's department. There's a company called Identigo out there. Whenever you get a license to carry, you have to go to Identico. They've got kind of a monopoly with the state. They only accept Identico. There are Identico offices all over the state that you have to go to when you get your license to carry, so you can get them there. There's commercial fingerprinting places. But that's the big hurdle, is where do I get fingerprint cards? So, and then passport photos. So I am now in a position to attempt to file Form 1.
Right.
And then if you make any mistakes, they routinely reject it in whole and don't allow you to correct it, and they make you refile. And so it can be pretty frustrating to get denials over something that is so tiny that could easily have been fixed, but you have to start the whole process all over again.
Do they tell you what you messed up on?
They love to write these cryptic explanations of what they thought was wrong. And you're sitting there wondering, what in the hell are they even talking about?
Yeah.
So that's like, they can't just say it. They make you guess. And so I get a lot of people send me these rejections, tell me what's the problem. Oh, that's easy. They were telling you didn't write, your birth date in that form right there.
That's
it's ridiculous.
So Jim, I've got another question. It's a little bit, it's on the topic, but it's we're talking about down the road. So let's say that somehow two old East Texas country boys like Hans and I figure out how to navigate this, and we get our pistols SBR'd, we've got our tax stamp, and we're a year down the road and everything is great. All right. And so what I've got is, let's pretend I've got my short barrel rifle. One of them is going to be a 300 blackout with a 10.5-inch barrel. And I say, you know what? I am sick of this. I really want to get a 12-inch Grendel. I really like my Grendel better. I just want to change this upper out. I've got this SBR that is fully legal as a 10.5-inch 300 blackout. Can I easily say, now I'm going to put this as a 12-inch Grendel, or whatever else, and still keep it an SBR?
So if you if you buy a 12.5-inch upper and you stick it on the gun, that's perfectly legal. Okay. Now, your primary registered configuration was that 10.5. And if you intend to put the 10.5 back on, whenever you feel like it, then you don't really need to do anything. However, if you want to make that a 12.5 for the long haul, and because you like it better, then you can write them a letter, and we have an example of this letter on our website under those frequently asked, our recent posts, that basically says, here's the letter, and I would like to amend my registration to include this following additional configuration. That way it can be registered as a 10.5 and a 12.5. And you send it to them, and then you may or may not ever hear back from them. So I would just keep proof in your file that you sent the letter in. And then supposedly it's attached to that tax stamp that they have multiple configurations. So you can do that. But if you're just doing it occasionally, I don't think you need to do anything.
Sure. Okay. So that's super. That makes me feel a lot better, because I was getting kind of nervous. Like, I got this upper here that, man, it's really not what I want on there, and I don't want to go through this whole deal. And so that's really good to know. So Jim, listen, I've got a lot more questions. I know Hans does too, but I think we're going to run out of time here. You got to get back to helping all these people with their gun trust. So I
gotta find
guess
a vote.
the last thing, and I gotta ask this question, and it doesn't make me feel better with your answer, but if a man is sitting here and maybe he did the right thing, your example there that you gave about going to the ATF website and all was if a man had not moved it into his trust, but for guys like us, maybe that have moved it into our trust, do we have any more hope on that? I mean, is it any easier for us? Can we go? I mean, I know you said a lot of dealers aren't doing this, filling these out, but I guess if our dealer already has our trust that is on file and all that, if we could go to our dealer and say, we will give you the $200, will you please help us? A dealer could do that if they wanted to.
A dealer
correct?
could do that, and some dealers are starting to do it.
Okay.
Like I've got a friend of mine in Friendswood near Houston. I've been sending him a lot of people from the Houston area, and then I've got a friend of mine up in the DFW area, up in the suburbs, and she's doing them. I know she's overwhelmed all of a sudden with ones. I've been blocking out weekends only for that. So we start at 9 in the morning and we go till 7 at night. And then Sunday morning I had a guy here at 8:30, and he drove in from Junction, which is about 2.5 hours, big rancher, and we got all his stuff filed, and then had a guy from Houston drive up on. He was on my 11 o'clocker. And we had 7 he had to do, they're sitting here in my seat right here, and I'm, back here, we get all the documents on a little flash drive. These are all the documents we're going to upload. Now you log in and I'll sit here and watch you.
Wow. ATF for dummies, and you're back there in the background telling them where to point and click,
Yeah, exactly. And I've got my son, he's 16, and he's doing the fingerprints, and then he's helping with the documents, and so he's getting to the point almost where he could do them himself. And I have this vision of him and all his friends making $20 an hour filing Form 1s for people.
That's what I'm talking about. That'd be a new summer job there. I like it.
It's an opportunity for a lot of these gun stores to have another profit center here. Helping their customers with the gun trust, not just the gun trust, but the Form 1s, because they get they're helping them out and they need this help. So I'm hoping more of the gun stores will help, as long as they understand that they need to be able, they need to be able to give the guy a terminal where he can do the typing and uploading, and they can just be standing there telling him what to do. And they can make pretty good money doing that. The going rate for the gun stores to be doing it is $100 per form. And that's sort of the going rate. I heard another guy say, I'm going to start doing them for $35. I can't imagine how many he's going to get to before he realizes $35 isn't worth his time.
No.
It's so tedious. We're exhausted by the end of the day. With going, having to do each one of these, making sure every bit of this is right before we file it. It's tedious. But anyway, I think a lot of gun stores, if they're charging, $100 per gun, at least they've got a reasonable price that it's worth their time but they've got to be super detailed. They can't just let some guy that doesn't pay attention to be helping filing these things, because then it just gets rejected and you got a mad customer.
So Jim, I know right now you're overwhelmed. You got way too much going on, and at the same time, this is going to be for a period, and then it's going to slow back down and go back to normal, because we're kind of going to run through this, and you're going to be ready to make gun trust again. And so, I know right now you're probably a little too busy to be doing gun trust today.
No, we're doing a ton.
Okay, well, what do you want people to? How do people need to contact you? And I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask another question on here. What if they're not in Texas? So somebody wants to get a gun trust. How do they find you? Do they have to be in Texas?
Well, if they're going to the law firm, then they would go on our website, and there's tons of information out there, frequently asked questions, everything. They can educate themselves to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, they have to call me. So there's a contact form on there. They can submit it. It comes right to me, and then either me or my wife is going to pick up the phone and call them and get it set up, and we usually get it set up same day. Okay. Or they can call directly, and I've got 2 paralegals over here that are taking messages like madmen, one after another. Mike, I don't know if you ever played the game Concentration, where you lay a deck of cards out and then pick up one, put it back down, try to find the other one. I had pink slips like this all over my desk when I got back from SHOT Show. It was just the craziest thing, and I haven't been able to return all those calls, but they should, but we're setting up gun trusts. And we're working late at night, every night, Saturday and Sunday included. We're doing gun trusts, and our goal is to get them out the same day they call. If you call before my paralegals leave, then I'll get it out to you same day. If you call after 5 when they've already headed out the door, because they leave religiously at 5, then it's next day. So best time to call is in the morning, so we can get you at the top of the pile that we're doing. It's unprecedented, the number we're doing right now. I just haven't ever seen anything like it. And then we're handling, of course, all the questions, explaining everything I've been talking about again and again and again and again, all day long, as many as we can talk to. Sure. I've got 3 right here that called, and I still have yesterday, and haven't been able to get hold, call them back with to answer their questions. But anyway, just try. If you put it in in our contact form, then we've got it written, and we're it's on our hot list because it's right there in writing. If they live out of state, I think a good option for them, it's something we created. It's not part of the law firm, but we help create something called Gun Trust Guru. So guntrustguru.com. And I wrote the documents, the trust documents, and basically no matter what state you live in, you can go onto the website, you can go to Let's Get Started, and it gives you the option of either creating a brand new trust or taking an old trust that's not worth a damn and converting it into a Gun Trust Guru trust. And so that's it's all automated. As soon as you type in all your information, click on build, then it runs your card for $79.95, and then it generates your documents, emails it to you about 2 minutes, and it's whatever state you said you live in, it's that state's trust. Whether that be, it doesn't matter what state. So that's easy. We have a lot of gun stores all over the country that use that Gun Trust Guru as their in-store gun trust, where you walk in the door, want to buy a silencer, they create the gun trust right there at the counter, and then they can do the fingerprints, photographs, trust right there at the counter. Cool. And then the ones that are more but if they're a Texas gun trust client, you can call us, and we personally do it, and we provide you the law firm trust, which is not the same thing as the Gun Trust Guru trust. That's $300 flat fee. So, and we're talking it through, and you can call me, and Gun Trust Guru is you can't call me. It's all do it yourself. So those are kind of the 2 different options that, if you live in another state, like, I don't know, Louisiana, you can get a Gun Trust Guru trust. It's a Louisiana trust. You have it in 2 minutes. You're ready to go get it notarized. Yeah. So,
well, I'll tell you what, if you're in Texas, go the full law firm route. It is the best way to go. Jim, tell them what your web address is. We'll try to put it in here in the description as well, but go ahead and tell them so they can find it. There it is.
Yeah. Wait.
Willi Law Firm.
So it's www.texasguntrust.com.
There you go. Texasguntrust.com. Willi Law Firm.
Yep. If you need a Texas Gun Trust, just go to texasguntrust.com.
There you go. Well, listen, Jim, thank you so much for coming on the show. I feel like
right.
my head is about to explode with all this new information that I've got, but you made me feel better. I feel better about it.
If you think about it in lifeboats, then you can sort of say, okay, there's 4 lifeboats out there. There's the one that's already gone, and now you've got 3 different ones. One's throw it away, one's file it as an individual, one is file it directly into the trust, paying the $200. Those are the 3 options if you haven't got it in the trust.
Well, supposedly me and Jason are in the safe.
The first lifeboat, the one that's got movies and peanuts and everything. It's great.
I feel like him and I are still going to sink it. So
but you still need to file your Form 1s and straight in the trust for free. That's the next thing you'll have to do by May 31st.
To get the free deal. Okay. Well, Jim, appreciate it again. We've got to have you back on again and not wait 229 episodes between the next time we see you. But we always appreciate it. You're a wealth of knowledge. You know more than we can even discuss on the show about the topic. Thank you so much. And don't, not just for being an advocate for what you're doing, and really what you're doing is helping people at the end of the day. And that's what makes any successful person successful, is to truly care about the people that you're helping. But you're also an advocate for this industry and a supporter of the Second Amendment industry and what we do, and really appreciate that as well.
And I've never had so much fun in my life being able to practice in this particular area of law, because it's a hobby to me. So
absolutely,
it's been a blast. That's why I've been doing it for longer than almost everybody out there. There's a few that have been doing it longer than me, but not that I know of in Texas.
Yeah. So. Well, we will have you on back again soon. Jason, you got anything you want to add before we sign off?
I think that's it. I do really, really appreciate you, Jim. Thanks for coming back on the show.
All right. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep. So this has been another episode of the Late Night Vision Show. Thank you for joining us. You can find us on all the socials. I cut it quick. Go find us. OutdoorLegacyGear.com. What pays the bills? If you need an optic, give us a call. OutdoorLegacyGear.com, 877-350-1818. If you need anything related to this NFA, SBR, the trust, reach out to Jim. He's the one that we trust. He's the one that we use, and he will set you straight. So, with all that being said, we'll see you next week. Y'all stay safe in the fields. Keep making them bacon pancakes, y'all.